What's up everyone, Darcblade here with another Mass Effect 3 multiplayer class guide. In this episode we're going to be taking a look at the last of the Armiger Legion classes, the Turian Saboteur. A class, in all honesty, I was not a fan of at the start, but has started to shine thanks to a combination of Sabotage and homing grenades being combined for some very nice damage. Add to this that he is a member of the Turian Armiger Legion means that his weapon damage is already strong from the get-go. Now, as with all my characters in the game, I spec my Turian Saboteur for the harder difficulties in the game. Firstly, I skip out Sentry Turret. Although there is great potential for unsupervised damage from this ability, I feel that having no control over who the Sentry Turret attacks normally results in less damage, less efficient damage anyway. If I was to put points into this ability, I would have to sacrifice other points elsewhere. You could drop points in Fitness or Armiger Legion if you wanted, in favour of putting points into maybe Flamethrower to create fire explosions, but in all honesty it's easier just to use incendiary rounds to create the same effect. Next, I max out Sabotage. I'm not normally a fan of this ability, but it works well with the Turian Saboteur. I put points into Tech Vulnerability over Berserk. Tech Vulnerability is key to this ability, as it will increase the damage from your homing grenades, which are counted as tech abilities. Berserk will only really be beneficial against Geth. Sentry Turret will get some bonuses from Tech Vulnerability, but only the damage from the Shock ability in the Sentry Turret tree. Next, I put points into Explosive Hack over Recharge Speed. Explosive Hack means that when playing against Geth, you'll be doing more area of effect damage from your hacks. The recharge speed is already fast enough in my opinion, unless you're taking a very heavy loadout. Lastly, I put points into Backfire over Duration. Backfire makes Sabotage a great ability when facing non-synthetic enemies, as it damages enemies when their weapons overheat. This will also set them up for tech bursts, which then can be activated with homing grenades. Duration is okay when facing Geth, but Backfire allows you options when fighting non-Geth forces. Backfire damage will also be increased thanks to Tech Vulnerability. Next, I max out homing grenades. I put points into armor damage over split grenade. Armor damage is a boss killer move, and is, in my opinion, a better option than split grenades, making armored opponents take increased damage. On top of that, weaken their defenses to your weapon fire. Next, I put points into fire damage over capacity to add a damage over time effect on the grenades. Capacity is an okay choice, especially if you lack the gear to increase your grenade capacity. Lastly, I put points into impact radius over damage. Now, both of these options are good, but I went for radius to affect multiple targets with the staggering effect, damage over time effect, and base damage of the homing grenades. As for the passive abilities, these are down to personal preference. With Armiger Legion, I went for a combination of weapon and power damage, as the Turians are one of the best races in terms of weapon damage. I put points into damage and stability over assault rifles, as the weapon weight does not matter too much on this class. Next, I put points into power damage to increase the damage of my grenades mainly, and lastly I put points into damage and capacity to increase my grenade damage again. You could do damage and stability here again if you wanted to, but like I said, this is personal preference here. Lastly, I maxed out fitness, putting full points into increasing my health and shields to increase my survivability. As for weaponry, go for a good strong assault rifle, as the Turians really do shine with them. I went for the Cerberus Harrier, a very trustworthy weapon. You also don't really have to worry too much about weapon weight, as like I said, Sabotage is really going to be the only ability you're casting that has a cooldown timer. As for gear, firstly take incendiary rounds, so you can create your own fire explosions and get some nice added damage to your weaponry. As for the gear slot, take something to increase your grenade count. Anyway, let's get into the heart of the episode and talk about the Turian Saboteur's moves and abilities. His first ability is Sentry Turret. Now, I know I have skipped out this ability on this class in favour of direct weapon damage and maxing out the other abilities, but it still has a place for some people out there. The Turian Saboteur will deploy a heavy turret that provides cover and fire. It is thrown out like a grenade, so can be deployed a fair distance away from the Turian Saboteur. This can help provide distractions for the team. It can also be augmented in numerous ways too. Rockets can be used for decent damage from afar, or it can be equipped with a flamethrower for awesome close range damage, as well as the ability to set up fire explosions. However, the Sentry Turret is controlled purely by the AI. You have no say over how often it fires or who it fires at. This is one of the reasons I have decided to skip over this ability. The other being that I think points are more useful where I have put them. The next ability is Sabotage. I'm not normally a fan of this ability, but thanks to the fact that homing grenades are counted as tech abilities means that the two abilities can be combined for massive damaging results. With Sabotage, the Turian Saboteur will cast a direct tech hack on opponents. This will hack or mind control synthetics and overheat weaponry of non-synthetics. This will wreck Geth as they are all synthetic. But alas, other races lack opponents that can be mind controlled with Sabotage. Okay, you can hack Cerberus Atlases and turrets, but it's not as useful when it comes to the mind control capabilities that Sabotage have on Geth. Now, this does not mean that Sabotage is completely useless against non-synthetics, as Sabotage can be harsh to them when you have points in backfire. This means that they will take a fair amount of damage when their weapons overheat, but on top of that it will set them up for a tech burst, which is a tech combo, similar to fire explosion. This can be set off by hitting the target again with a homing grenade. A tech burst is when you hit an opponent with an ability that sets them up for the tech burst, follow that up with a second damaging ability, and this creates an electrical explosion, dealing extra damage to the initial target hit, but also damaging anyone else around them. The best aspect though of Sabotage for the Turian Saboteur is when you have points in tech vulnerability. This means that your homing grenades will be incredibly powerful if used on targets after you have cast Sabotage on them first. It also increases the damage of tech combos on targets too. So if you are using incendiary ammo, cryo ammo or disruptor ammo, then the combos from these will be more powerful too. I should also say that with the Sabotage hack, you can actually only mind control one enemy at a time. The next ability is homing grenades. With this ability, the Turian Saboteur will fire a slow moving grenade from his Omnitor towards opponents. It will home in on targets as long as you have the target highlighted. It can also be cast at opponents who are using cover, as it will arc around walls and fences and potentially hit them. The damage from the homing grenades is strong and creates a fairly sizable explosion. This will stagger opponents, giving you breathing room when you're under attack. Now, homing grenades are counted as a tech power, so they will benefit from anything that increases tech powers. This is very useful when you consider the implications of Sabotage's tech vulnerability. Homing grenades can have added damage to it, thanks to fire damage that will leave a nasty damage over time effect on targets. Homing grenades can also be used to set off all forms of tech combos. With the Turian Saboteur, you really will always want to cast homing grenades on targets who have been affected by the backfire effect of Sabotage, or have been affected with your ammo type from your weaponry. You really need to cast in sort of like a rotation of Sabotage followed by weapon fire to light up opponents with your ammo type, and then follow this off with a homing grenade and repeat. This way you will dish out a lot of damage. The major downside to this is your grenade supply. If you don't have a big enough grenade capacity gear mod, then you might struggle with this class. Also, if there is another class in your team who are using grenades, like the N7 Demolisher, then you will be fighting over the grenade supply. This could hamper your potential damage output. With the passive abilities, like I said at the start of the video, these are down to really personal preference. With Armiger Legion, I went for a combination of weapon and power damage. The Turians get some very nice benefits from weapon damage when compared to other races. The combination of power and weapon damage helps out a lot with the damage from my grenades and weaponry at the same time. Lastly, I want to say is that this is one of the classes you really do need to use an ammo bonus with to shine. As for fitness, I went for maxing out my health and shields for maximum survivability. Melee damage on this guy is okay, but it's not the greatest, making, in my opinion, health and shields the better option. Now, the Turian Saboteur is a Turian from the Armiger Legion. He has above average health and shields, but this does not make him a tank like a Krogan. He comes equipped with propulsion packs that increase his normally below average mobility. Thanks to these mini jet packs, he is able to dodge and travel across the battlefield at great speeds. His light melee is a nice combo flurry that hits for a fair amount if you're able to pull off all 3 hits. His heavy melee is a jumping ground pound with his dual omni blades. These are actually counted as a tech ability, so can take advantage of tech vulnerability from your Sabotage. However, getting into melee range is something you really don't want to always do on this class. Overall, the Turian Saboteur is a class that I overlooked at first, as his abilities didn't seem to gel well on paper. But after dusting off and looking more closely at his tech capabilities means that he can dish out a fair amount of damage. Sabotage, an ability I normally dislike, really shines well on this guy, and the fact that tech vulnerability can increase other areas of his damage by 50% makes him a formidable class. Anyway, I've been Darcblade, bringing you my Mass Effect 3 multiplayer class guide to the Turian Saboteur. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.